What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and we have finally arrived. We know the initial 53-man roster for the 2025 green and white, and I say initial because every team had to get down to 53 by 4 o'clock yesterday, and it is commonplace that there is still going to be some churn this week, okay? Guys are going to try to clear waivers, get on the practice squad. Maybe there will be someone out there that we think is still an upgrade. Maybe there's a free agent out there that is still an upgrade. So the 53 that I am about to show you and talk through right now may not be the 53 that are up for week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers in about a week and a half. But let's get to it right now. We start with the offense. The offense under Tanner Engstrand as the new offensive coordinator. 26 players on the initial roster on the offensive side. And there are a couple of surprises to me. The first thing I'll tell you is they're only carrying 2 quarterbacks right now. It's only Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. We were all excited. We thought Brady Cook was going to potentially make the roster. Remember, they cut Dane Martinez. We talked about it yesterday that maybe Brady Cook had won the QB3 job. We were talking all preseason about the QB3 job. Well, the Jets are only carrying 2 quarterbacks on the roster. There is no Brady Cook or Dane Martinez on this roster. The other thing I would say, I am not upset, but I'm disappointed because there were a lot of young kids who flashed for us throughout the preseason, throughout training camp, who ultimately are not on this roster. One of them at running back is Donovan Edwards. We saw Donovan Edwards. I actually thought he could have been a good add to this running back room. Less of a north-south downhill powerful large back like we have, and more of a speed guy. I thought there was a role for him. He was released. And on the wide receiver side, listen, I understand we're going to be a running team. We're going to be a defensive team. So they only are carrying 6 wide receivers, right? Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard, Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, and Xavier Gibson makes the cut, okay? I thought that was a little bit of a surprise. I knew they weren't going to keep Malachi Corley, but I was really hoping that a guy like Brandon Smith or maybe Quentin Skinner could have been on this roster. And no, they did not make the cut. It is Xavier Gibson who gets that 6th wide receiver spot, and the Jets are not carrying 7 wide receivers. They are, however, carrying 10 offensive linemen. No real surprises here. You got the swing tackles and a core of 4, Max Mitchell. You know about the kind of starting young developing O-line that we're going to talk about. And there's a lot of versatility right there with Max Mitchell, with the core of 4, with guys like Tippmann and Myers, right? So that is the offensive line. I got to tell you, what I am looking for here is to see if any of these players that we have liked all training camp, guys like Brandon Smith, guys like Brady Cook, if they clear waivers and wind up on the practice squad, that is what we have to look at next. Or if we are looking at maybe a veteran upgrade somewhere, right? Potentially as a QB3. I would have loved to have seen Brady Cook, Donovan Edwards, and Brandon Smith somehow find a way on this roster. 10 is a lot of O-linemen to carry, so that was a little bit of a surprise, but there is your offense for the 2025 New York Jets, at least for now. Let's go on to the defensive side of the ball with the new defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks. Here, we think this is going to be a good unit, right? So the defensive linemen, I told you, the new acquisitions of Briggs and Harrison Phillips, they are on the roster along with Quinnen Williams, Jay Tufele, who flashed, and Leonard Taylor, who we all liked here, does make the cut. He is part of the D-line. An edge group that we like here, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Michael Clemens makes the roster, okay? So maybe the idea of like the silly penalties and stuff, maybe he heard the message, and Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, the Jets like his talent. Remember, they said they'd walk around without a shirt on, right? That's how he's supposed to be built. Maybe they think they can get some more discipline out of him. Obviously, Tyler Barron, the kid out of Miami who was the edge rusher late in the draft, and McGregor at linebacker. Good group here. Also, interesting to note, both of the late round draft picks from Miami make the cut, as Mayuga does as well behind Sherwood, Quincy Williams, Zaire Barnes, and McCrary Ball. Then at corner, you got no real surprises, in my opinion. Sauce, Brandon Stevens, Michael Carter, obviously, in that slot, Quantez Stiggers, and A.Z. Thomas. And then at safety, Andre Sisco, who we know, Malachi Moore, who we drafted, and then Adams and Isaiah Oliver. I would say if the Jets are, scouring the waiver wire, looking for like one man's trash being another man's treasure, this is a position I actually think safety is our biggest position of need, okay? I like Cisco. I think Malachi Moore is going to come on, but Adams, Oliver, to me, they don't move the needle for me that much. If we want to upgrade, there's guys like Justin Simmons out there still as a free agent, right? There's going to be guys cut around the league. I think safety is a place that we can still improve. I will also note Byron Cowart, who was our free agent signing on the defensive line from the Chicago Bears. He will be on the IR to start the season, okay? It doesn't look like Lazard is going to be on IR. It doesn't look like Terod Taylor is going to be on IR. The three guys that'll be on IR are Byron Cowart, Irvin Charles, wide receiver, and Jamarcus Weston, a linebacker. And that is the IR. And then rounding out the special teams, no surprises here, punter Austin McNamara, who has been great all preseason. Obviously, they bring in Nick Folk, come on back and kick. And then Thomas Hennessy as the long snapper. Okay, and by the way, McNamara really has been good. We're going to talk about him a little bit more between now and the game against the Steelers. I think he was rated by PFF as like the best punter in the preseason, the hang time, pinning teams inside the 20, and with the style of play we're going to play with, right, running defense, field position, he really can be a field position weapon for us. McNamara has been great. That could be a find as an undrafted free agent. I really think the keys here are, for me, only two quarterbacks. Cook and Martinez both gone. We'll see if any of them clear waivers and we can kind of get them back in that churn. And then, honestly, between Skinner and Brandon Smith at the wide receiver position and Donovan Edwards at the running back position, I really would have liked to see those three guys somehow make the 53. My hope is that they can make the practice squad, okay? And we will still be talking about it all week long as waivers happen, as the churn happens, and as the practice squad for the Jets gets defined. But that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Thank you to everybody who is subscribed, watching the videos, liking the videos. Remember, if you want to be a Jets Latest insider, click on that link in the description. You can get down with exclusive content, other kind of perks. Let's see what some of the regulars are saying. Sharon McLean. Big shout out to Sharon, who termed the Glennaissance, right, which is officially starting in about a week, said, we actually got someone we really need. I think that relates to Harrison Phillips, the defensive lineman kind of addition we got. All shall perish, says Saw St. Revis. I don't know why he's hyped so much. He's solid, but I think people blow too much smoke up his ass. He needs more interceptions and needs to learn how to tackle. Well, you know, Glenn made the point about his tackling, but I will say this. Part of the reason he doesn't get interceptions is because no one throws the ball his way, and that is the mark of a great corner. You know, PFF rated him as the top. I think he deserves it. I think he's a linchpin for this defense and a cornerstone for the locker room and this roster for years to come. Is he Darrelle Revis? No. Okay? Nobody was Darrelle Revis, but I do think Sauce is just fine for this defense and for this team. And then old Dave, what's going on? Regular old Dave says, go Jets. All right, so that'll do it for this episode. Listen, I do think there are some surprises. I don't think this is a finished product yet, right? So keep it locked here to Jets Latest throughout the week. Waivers, practice squad, other deals that can be made. We will certainly be here to talk about it. And remember, if you want to hear more from me, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM, Channel 87, the Fantasy Channel. Great place to help you become a better fantasy player with fantasy football drafts. Definitely happening. Hit me up on Twitter, on X, at Spittin' Speeds, and hit me up in the comments as well. This is a very interesting week as we go to the Labor Day weekend and ultimately week 1 against Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, I will be back tomorrow all week. We'll see if this is a finished product or not. We'll see. Hopefully guys like Edwards, B. Smitty, Brady, Cook can get onto our practice squad, but we will definitely be here to talk about it. Click on the link, become a Jets Latest insider, tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about it, but those are the initial 53 for the 2025 green and white. Get excited because they hit the field under Aaron Glenn in about a week and a half against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for now, we out of here. Peace.